this video, I'll show you how to create Google Forms to use with students and colleagues. The first step, of course, is to go to your Google Drive. Secondly, on the left-hand side, you'll see the Create button. We are going to create a form. And the user interface is really straightforward. It looks a lot like SurveyMonkey, which we're familiar with. And you can choose the type of questions that you'd like to put on your form. Over here under Add Item, you can see the options that you have. Not quite as robust as SurveyMonkey, but it does integrate seamlessly with all of your other Google tools. If you look here, you can also see that you have the option to make new section headers or page breaks. So you can add any of those items in. It gives you 2 sample questions by default in your survey, but if you don't want one, you can discard the questions. And over here you've got editing the question, duplicating the question, and deleting the question. So let's say I decide to make a quiz about this. I'll call this My Great Quiz. The first question, ask about the weather, so I want that to be a text question. I can click Done. I could also add a multiple choice question, just so you can see how the same thing, I can change the question style here as well if I've decided to change it. But just so you can see how this looks. I can also add an other response, and students can submit their own answer there. I can choose to make it a required question or not, and click Done. Another trick is that I can up here I can change the theme of my form. Google has many different form options. As you can see here, there are several pages. Let's say I like this Waves theme. It will show me what my quiz will look like in the Waves theme, and I can decide to apply or cancel. Unlike in other Google documents, when it has saved all that I've done, over here in the right corner I'll see a saved message. If it has not yet been saved, this will just say Save, and I can click the button to save it. At the bottom of my screen, there's something that says you can view the published form here. So I can click on that and it will show me what this form will look like for my students or colleagues who are submitting their answer. Back in the editing area, a couple of things to note about people completing your form. First, I have the option to allow my users to edit their responses. That might be helpful if you're having your students complete some sort of worksheet using Google Forms. They can go back and edit their earlier answers if they change their mind, or if you go over something in class and their answer changes. I can also automatically collect the respondent's Bryn Mawr School username. On the form it will say your username is this, and it will be recorded. And they have the option to sign out and sign in as another user. If you're sending it to all Bryn Mawr School people as well, they have the option of getting a copy of their responses, which can sometimes be helpful. And just a note, if you are using forms with Roland Park and Gilman students, you could certainly require this, and they would just type in their Bryn Mawr username that they use for Google Drive. However, I would suggest if it's a homework assignment that you do not require the Bryn Mawr School username, because then the Roland Park and Gilman students have to sign out of, especially the Gilman students, they have to sign out of their Gilman Gmail and into their Bryn Mawr Gmail just to take this quiz that you have emailed to their other email address, either their Gilman or their Roland Park email address. So it's just a little more complicated for those students. And you can do something very easy like, let's see. So I just duplicated a question, and you can move questions around like this. And you can do something very easy and just say name and make it a required question. And then the first question will just ask them for their name. That's if you don't want to do this. When you're ready to send the form to someone, you could either say email this form, or if you go to the the live form here, you can just copy this link up here and email that to anyone you want to take your form, and they'll be able to complete it. What you do not want to do is share this form with anyone. When you share the form with someone, they're able to see all of the responses that come into the form. There may be times that you want to share the form with someone, so that's okay, but generally you just want the person to complete the form. You don't want them to see the results. So don't share this with someone unless you want them to see the results. If I go back into my Google Drive, I will see that I have this form called My Great Quiz, and if I click on it, I see that I have something very different than the form I was just editing. What this is Google has taken the questions that you've asked and put them into a spreadsheet, and as someone completes the form, the responses will fill in on the spreadsheet. If I go to the form option here, I can either choose to edit the form, and a little pop-up window will appear where I can continue to edit the form just as I was doing before. Or I can say go to live form, and again, this is what I would email to someone in order to complete the form. Let's see what happens when I complete the form myself. So I'll click submit. I do have the option to edit my response. I could go back in and edit that if I choose. And then let's see what you would see. So on this side of things, you would see this. Since we added this option and then deleted it, Google Forms doesn't do the best job of deleting that in the spreadsheet. So it will just stay there, but no one who completes your form will give an answer for it. In fact, they can't give an answer for it. So that column will just remain blank. Not a big deal. And then I can see that here are my responses. Let me show you another example. I gave a quiz to my emerging tech students about troubleshooting, and sometimes it becomes, as you can see, it becomes very difficult to read because of the length of the responses. So what I usually do is I will go up here to File and say Download as an Excel spreadsheet. And now only do this when you have all of the responses collected, otherwise you'll miss some. And then you can just open the document in Excel. Because this Excel document is not linked specifically to the form, you're able to edit the columns with much more ease, and you can easily read and see all of the responses given. And it's actually really nice. You can just go down the row and see the answers given to each question and grade each question fairly quickly. If I wanted to share the results of this form, I can share it just like I would any other document, but remember, I'm sharing the results, not the form itself. I can also turn off accepting responses if I don't want to let anyone else answer my form. And I can click Show Summary of Responses, and it will tell me the general summary. So that's about it. It's really straightforward and very useful. I hope that you find some creative and unique ways to use Google Forms with both your students and colleagues. Post your ideas to the Curriculum Center forum in Edmodo, and I will chat with you soon.